For 3 years, Bali has been my home, and for the last 2 years of this pandemic, it's also been my shelter. But island fever has taken hold, and while it seems like the world is finally getting out of this horrible situation, only to find itself in another tragic one, I'm finally leaving this island to resume my wanderlust. But as you'll see in this video, it's not been an easy journey getting out of Bali. You guys, I cannot believe what I am about to do. It's been 2 years, actually 2.5 years since I have left the island of Bali, and as you may probably know, the big news is that Bali is reopening for tourism. That doesn't directly impact me because I'm a resident of Bali. I could come into Bali regardless, but I've been very wary about the quarantine times and all of these restrictions. However, now that Bali and Indonesia are easing up on quarantine, and I think that the rest of the world is moving in that direction, I'm actually gonna book my first international flight in 2.5 years. And I'm so scared, and I've been going back and forth thinking about, should I do this, should I not do this, should I do this, should I not do this, and prevaricating, and just like, I have Stockholm syndrome because I've been in one place for so long, and I think that I'm actually ready right now to pull the trigger. So my first destination is going to be Turkey. So I'm booking this flight. It's the very, very first Turkish Airlines flight that is scheduled direct from Bali to Istanbul, and it's March 2nd. And the reason that that's a very important date is because the following day, March 3rd, is Nyepi, which is the Balinese Day of Silence, where the airport is shut down, where everybody has to stay in their house. So if I don't make this flight, or if this flight is canceled for some reason, I would be quite in trouble in a sense, or at least I would be stuck here during Nyepi. So anyway, I'm booking my flight with miles via Singapore through my Amex, and here we go. I'm actually doing this right now. I've been so nervous about leaving Indonesia, and well, actually I should just mention, I've been so nervous about leaving my home because I have this beautiful home here that you can watch the video of my home tour if you haven't already seen that, but I think most of you who subscribe have already watched that video. And I have a really, really comfortable life here, and I don't even know what exactly I am looking for outside of my comfortable bubble, but I just feel like that after 2.5 years, as someone who's very used to traveling, I need just some difference. I need to get out of my routine. And specifically, I've chosen to go to Turkey because I actually want to get some dental work done, and Turkey is very famous for cosmetic dentistry. So I'm actually going to go there for veneers, and I'll do a whole series about that in and of itself. But yeah, that's why I've chosen first to go to Turkey. I don't know how long exactly I'll stay there, maybe a couple weeks, and then from there I'm thinking potentially to go to Europe for a month or something. I'm leaving it very open-ended because nobody knows what can change, you know, on a dime here. And I just know that I think I'm looking forward to traveling, and I think that by traveling, when I come back finally to Bali, be that in a month or 2 months or 3 months, I will really appreciate even more what I do have here. Oh my god, okay, by submitting this information, once I click this make payment, it's done. Just clicked make payment. Wait, I'm taking a video of this moment. Wait, processed? Huh? There's a problem issuing your tickets. What error has occurred?
For bookings made through your travel agent, please contact your travel agent for any assistance.
It took 4 hours on hold, but the next day, someone from Singapore Airlines called me back and issued my ticket. I know this sounds crazy, but for a business class flight that would normally cost over $2,000, this was worth it. So you guys, a very exciting package just arrived from Tokopedia. I'm gonna open it up, and it feels like the beginning of my trip, which is actually still 3 weeks away, but I'm getting so excited that last night before falling asleep, I was shopping for all of this random random stuff, actually mostly to organize suitcases like shoe bags and clothing bags and all of this stuff. But this really excites me because I love luggage in general, and I already have a set of aluminum luggage, but I don't have it in the biggest size, and I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to be like, I think this is bigger than the one that I have. Actually, it kind of looks like it might be the same, which is a bit disappointing, but regardless, because I'm going to be traveling for who knows how long, it could be a month, it could be 2 months, I definitely need more luggage space than what I arrived in Bali with. And I arrived in Bali literally with just one checked suitcase, one carry-on, and a backpack. And over the 3 years here, my life obviously has gotten a lot more things. It's gotten just more stuff. Okay. I'm actually a little bit disappointed because I think that this might be the same exact size as the one that I already have. I have this in rose gold, but actually one of the wheels is a bit broken, so regardless, it kind of needed a replacement. So this is my new checked suitcase. Actually, I think it is bigger. This is 26 inches. The other one that I have, I think, might be 24. But look at how chic this is. I just think it really stands out, you know? It's got the TSA locks. Look at this. Oh wow, inside it's blue. Check that out. Anyway, this kind of just gets me really excited for my upcoming trip, knowing that I have a new suitcase, and I'm certainly going to be bringing a lot of clothes along with me because I think I'm going into several different climates over my trip, or trips plural. I don't even know exactly what my plan is, but I just wanted to share this moment. So today is February 14th, otherwise known as Valentine's Day for people who are in some kind of relationship. But to me, this day is not great, not just because I'm single, but because I just found out that my direct flight from Bali to Istanbul is non-existent. This was my fear, and I guess I was kind of expecting this just because I knew that they weren't going to fly a plane if there was nobody coming into Bali, and with what the current restrictions are, it's just like, who wants to deal with that? Anyway, I had looked this morning at the Turkish Airlines website and saw that that flight was no longer existing, and then I called Singapore Airlines and confirmed. Now I'm waiting. It's been over an hour and a half for a call back so that I can reroute or somehow reschedule that flight, and it's just really frustrating because it adds this whole layer of complexity that now I'm going to have to fly through Jakarta, which means I first will have to get from here to Jakarta taking a domestic flight, and with the domestic flights in Bali, even if you're vaccinated, you still need to have a negative rapid test, and of course we know anything can happen between now and 2 weeks from now when I need to fly, and it's just really scary. Like, what am I supposed to do? Isolate myself in a bubble? At this point, to book my travel, I have probably spent already 4 hours on the phone with Singapore Airlines originally to book my first flight, and now however long it's going to take with this process to rebook.
Back on hold with Singapore Airlines. To make a long story short, after rerouting my flight through Jakarta and even booking an overnight hotel there, I found Singapore Airlines award space from Bali to Istanbul via Singapore, which meant that per the rules, I wouldn't have to do any COVID test. So once again, I changed my ticket and listened to that lovely Singapore Airlines hold music for way more time than I would like to admit.
This is my current state of affairs with packing. I have only one suitcase that's totally finished, but I'm really worried actually how this is going to be handled at the various airports when I'm transiting through Singapore, going through Bali, and also arriving in Turkey. Is you can see I take a million vitamins and supplements, and I feel like they're going to ask if I'm opening a Mexican pharmacy, and I wouldn't want them to think that I'm importing drugs or something. I mean, this is spirulina and calcium and zinc and
collagen and all of the other random things that I take every day that have actually been like proportioned out for an entire month day by day. But I've actually never traveled with so many different vitamins before. I've obviously become more idiosyncratic as the years have gone on, so it's just another thing to worry about. So this is the night before my flight is leaving, and everything was set. I've spent the whole day packing. I thought that I had all of my documents ready to go. As you guys know, I haven't left this island in 2.5 years. Travel has changed a lot since then, but of course I have my ticket. I have my COVID vaccination. I have my Turkey visa. And then I have this other health form that I just found out yesterday that I needed to fill out. So I did all of that, and I was feeling pretty good. I was just like, okay, I need to finish packing, and then I'm gonna take a nice full Klonopin, have a good night's rest, and then wake up early, get to the airport, and begin my travel. But I got this very disturbing email from Singapore Airlines, and it was a pre-flight document check, and it said that basically, I'll just read it. Travelers entering to Istanbul, Turkey, and transiting through Singapore are required to take a negative pre-departure COVID-19 PCR test or antigen test 48 hours before arrival. Now, this is really throwing me off because everything that I've read, from the US Embassy website on Turkey to even Singapore Airlines website, says that if you are fully vaccinated, you do not need any test to enter Turkey. And I called Singapore Airlines and I spoke to some random person who I'm sure is in the Philippines. His English unfortunately was not that good. And at first he told me, yes, you need it, and then he told me, no, I don't need it. And now I'm super worried, and my friends are saying, like, you should prepare for any eventuality and you should just get the rapid test anyway. Meanwhile, I actually have home rapid tests, and I did one earlier today just to make sure, and I tested negative. I don't have time to go to the hospital before my flight and even get a rapid test. Like, it just adds to this layer of stress. But I'm pretty much 100% sure with everything that I've read, I don't need this test. But it just goes to show how confusing and how just absurd everything is still in this time, even though we're getting out of it. And I think these are kind of like maybe the last throes of the frustration, you know, and of the growing pains of easing back into normal life. But anyway, I'm going to go to the airport early tomorrow, and I'm not going with the test. I'm going with my vaccine certificate because, as I said, according to the embassy website and according to Singapore Airlines itself, you do not need to have any test if you are fully vaccinated at least 14 days before your arrival, and I fit that category. I'm also not coming from a restricted country, but it's just like, who wants to get an email like that at 7 p.m. the night before your flight? Okay, I get that, you know, we're coming through the pandemic and whatever, but I just don't like this misinformation. You know, stick to what's real and don't send me like a very terrifying false email like 12 hours before I need to be at the airport. So anyway, I'm gonna finish my packing, and then I'm just gonna try to chill and take it easy, and hopefully everything will go smoothly at the airport, and I will check in with you there tomorrow, hopefully sipping a nice juice in the lounge. And we're off. So we're on the way to the airport, and we keep passing all of these testing locations, and I just keep wondering, should I stop and just do the rapid test just to be 100% safe and sure anyway? But I know the rules. I checked Singapore Airlines website, I checked the US Embassy, I've checked every website, and it says everywhere that if you've already been vaccinated and your last dose was at least 14 days prior to your trip, you do not need to do a test. And it's actually the same rule that recently now applies for transiting through Singapore. No test is needed. So even though we keep passing all of these places, I'm gonna go with what I know is right and not get this dumb unnecessary test because I know the rules. But anyway, we'll find out what actually happens at the check-in counter. I just want to show you guys what this airport is like right now. There's only 2 international flights that are scheduled for today from Denpasar. One, obviously, that I'm on going to Singapore, and the other is going to Australia. And the airport, I've never seen anything like this before. It is totally quiet, totally dead. The longest part of all of this was at first arguing with the Singapore Airlines people that I didn't need a test because I've already been vaccinated. They were not up to date on that, but then they checked and they said, you're right. And then for some reason it took a little bit, maybe like 3 minutes at immigration, just talking to the guy. So anyway, I have an invitation to the lounge, and that's where I'm going to be spending the next few hours because my flight is at 1 o'clock and I got here really early just to make sure that there was not going to be any problems. I've made it to the Premier Lounge, this is called. Apparently there's a few different lounges, including one if you're a priority pass holder. This one, as you can see, is quite empty. There are, I think, a total of maybe 3 people, including me, here. Obviously, or not obviously to some people, but they've done away with the traditional buffet service and instead give you just a boxed little snack of a sad piece of bread and something else. The choices are very limited. We're not talking about any champagne here, even for fresh juice. They don't have only orange juice from a box, but hey, look, life can be a lot worse. My biggest stress has been averted, which was that they were going to argue with me at check-in about having the COVID test, because on actually their paper, it was the first thing they asked me when I went up to the Singapore Airlines line. They said, please present your COVID test. And I said, I don't need a COVID test. I've already been vaccinated. I'm going to Turkey. The man had to then check with his supervisor, who, after a minute of me waiting and thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen, said, that's right, no test is needed, but I did have my driver on standby just in case that we would have had to run back out of the airport and find a testing place for a rapid test. So in the end, that email, that very frightening email yesterday, was for nothing. And I feel like now I can really just breathe easy because I have all of my documentation. I have both my boarding passes, and here I'm just chilling for the next 3 hours until my flight to Singapore. And then in Singapore I have a very, very long layover. I arrive there at 3 p.m. and the flight to Turkey doesn't leave until 1 a.m. Luckily, I will not be in any kind of quarantine area in Singapore, so I will be allowed to roam the beautiful Changi airport freely and also use the Singapore Airlines lounge, which will be much more luxurious than this one. So the escape, as I have called it in my mind, from Bali has gone smoothly after everything, just after a lot of stress. And to be honest, even though I took a full Klonopin last night, I still woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, anxious, unable to fall back asleep until a few hours later. So travel these days, nothing is easy, nothing is 100% clear. My friends told me that yesterday too. That's why she said, just get the test and then you'll at least have peace of mind, because she said, look, we're talking about Bali and people who might not be up on what the actual rules and regulations are. Nonetheless, when you know you're in the right, you can hopefully get justice, which is indeed what has happened today. So I'm just going to take a breath, relax, cool down, because carrying all of those heavy, heavy suitcases has taken a bit out of me already. And see you in Singapore, or at least actually see you on the plane to Singapore.